The price of a car went up 20% last year from the price of 2 years ago. But this year, the car dealer discounts the price of the car by 18% of last year's price. What is the total difference? What is the total percent difference between this year's price and the price of 2 years ago? Now, these questions can get confusing really fast if you're not careful and if you don't organize your thoughts. So let's just separate out the years. We have 2 years ago, the price last year, and the current price, which is now. Now, before we tackle this question, I want to go over something regarding percents. Let's say it increases by 10% and the item currently is worth 10 bucks. What we're doing is we need to first figure out what 10% is of $10. So we multiply this by 10% and we get 1. Next, after we figure out what 10% is of the original price, we have to add that back to the original price. Which means that if something costs $10 and it increases in price by 10%, we get the final cost to be 11. Now, as you can see, there are 2 steps to this, but this is not the way that I'd like you to solve the question or approach these types of problems. We want to do it in one clean step. So what you want to do is you want to multiply the original times 1.10. This 1 represents 100% of the price, which is this value here. This 0.1 represents 10% of the price, which is this value here, which represents the 1. And if you multiply 10 times 1.1, you get 11, which is the same answer off the bat. Hopefully that makes sense, and this just requires a little bit of practice. So don't worry too much if you don't get it now. Vice versa, let's say it was a 10% decrease, and again we're just going to start with the original price being 10 bucks. Again, we can do the same thing. We find out what 10% of $10 is by multiplying 10 times 10% to get $1. Next, we do the original cost minus what we found to be 10% to get $9. Again, this is not the most efficient way to do it. Instead, we want to multiply 10 times 90% of the cost, again to get $9. And this 90% is, we get this 90% from 100% of the cost minus 10% of the cost. So 1 minus 0.10 would give you 0.90. So whether we're increasing in percent or decreasing in percent, you want to eliminate doing the 2-step method to find the final cost or the final value or whatever it is. You want to multiply it times its complementary percentage value. So how does it apply to here? We have the price of the car went up 20% last year from the price of 2 years ago. So from 2 years ago to last year, the price went up 20%. But this year, the car dealer discounts the price of the car by 18%. So from last year to the current year, the dealer is hooking up an 18% discount. What is the total percent difference between this year's price and the price of 2 years ago? The problem is they never give us the starting price of the car 2 years ago. So right now it's a big unknown, it's X. With that said, if you take a look at the answer choices, they're all percentage values. There are no hard numbers. And by hard numbers, I mean actual values like 100 or 200, 1,000, etc. They're all percentages, which means it doesn't really matter what the price of the car is. We can actually make up our own number. So pick a number or pick a car that you want and just give it a value. If you want a Honda, maybe 30,000. Ferrari, 100,000. I'm going to choose a really cheap car. I'm going to say that my car is worth 100 bucks, just for easiness sake. So my car is $100 2 years ago. It increases by 20%, and we're going to use this idea over here. So since we're increasing by 20%, I'm going to multiply this by 1.2 to get the new price. If I do 100 times 1.2, I get $120. Again, decrease by 18%, so I'm going to use what I did here. 1 minus 0.18, or we have 120 times 0.82, and we get 98.4. So the final answer is 98.4 divided by the original, which we just made up to be 100. To make it into a percent, we need to multiply that 100. So we get 98.4. That's also the reason why I chose 100 to be my starting number, because whatever final answer you get will just be the answer.